We start by lying down and just taking some nice deep breaths in. You can place one hand on your tummy and the other hand on your chest. And just notice how the breath comes into the body. As you inhale, you'll feel your hands lifting and separating slightly. And then as you exhale, you'll feel the hands just moving slightly closer together. Just notice and acknowledge the breath coming in and out of the body. As you inhale, you might notice a sense of softening in the lower abdominals, a widening or thickening of the waistline. And as you exhale, feel more tone in the lower abdominals and a sense that your waistline is narrowing. Relax your jaw, lengthen the back of the neck, and just maintain that natural curvature of your spine. So you should be feeling the pelvis, the ribs and the base of the skull in touch with your mat, and a sense of space under the lower back and the neck. Just taking that breath in and just preparing for some pelvic tilts. So as we exhale this time, I want you to just move the pelvis backwards so that you feel your lower back just flattening into the mat. And then as you inhale, the pelvis moves forwards and the arch in your lower back deepens. Exhale and the lower back flattens. Inhale and it arches. And you might notice landmarks at the front of the body, the pelvic bones, the pubic bone and the sternum. They're all aligned when our pelvis and our rib cage are centered. When the pelvis moves forward, the sternum moves forward and the arch increases. When we move the pelvis back, the sternum goes down, moving forwards with the pelvic bone, pubic bone, and then back as you exhale. So just notice how we move the pelvis, moves your spine, and moves your rib cage. And we want to allow that movement, but we will need to keep that movement nice and controlled. Bring your pelvis to center. So the pelvis and the ribs are aligned and your spine has its natural curves. And we're going to maintain those curves as we lift and lower one leg. Lifting up and down, and then lift the other leg up and down. So just observe within your movement whether or not when you lift the leg you may notice your back flattens. Yeah, we want to try and avoid that happening, so we want to make sure that we keep the hips, the pelvis and the rib cage quiet and maintaining that curve in the lower back. So as the leg comes up, we may notice that the back flattens. We want to avoid that. As the leg goes down, you may feel like your ribs get pulled forward. And again, it's just maintaining that control. And then you can see, can you take both feet off the floor, keeping the knees above the hips, and just maintain the position of your trunk whilst breathing into the very deep part of the abdominals. As you exhale, alternate knee and arm moves away from your center. Alternating arm and leg. Again, this is much more challenging in terms of load for your trunk. So if you imagine the dimmer switch, you need to increase or turn the dimmer switch up as the arm and leg lowers. If you notice when the arm and leg lowers your back arches, then maybe don't go as far. Just observing as the arm moves how far you can go without the back arching. And you may find one side is easier than the other. But just observe and respond to what you notice happening in your body. So the aim of the exercise is to keep the trunk aligned, that organisation of your pelvis and your ribs and your head. You're still breathing and you're challenging the deep core with the movement of your arms and your legs. Well done, coming back down to centre. Just checking in with yourself for a moment, and then we're just going to notice how it feels when the tone of our trunk muscles increase. Bringing one knee up, hands on the front of the knee. Relax your jaw and shoulders, inhale, exhale, and push the knee and the hands against each other. And just observe what that feels like in your trunk. The spine maintaining its curves, and we're maintaining that stability of your spine. And just repeat that pressing on the out breath, softening on the in breath. It's 4 times on one leg, and then we can change to the other. Exhaling to press, knee and hand against each other, and then softening. Exhale and press, and softening. Notice what that feels like in your body. And we don't want to sort of use too much effort, more than what we need. Otherwise that will flatten the back. Too little and the back will arch. Let's bring both feet up and do the same thing. So the thighs pushing against the hands pushing against the knees. If you find this too much, you can just go with your feet back on the floor. And you're going to press into the hands and the knees and feel the tone of the trunk muscles increase as you press. The dimmer switch goes up. And then as you exhale, you soften and feel the tone of the muscles reduce. Again, 4 or 5 of these, and then bring your feet down to rest. Taking your breath in, letting go of any tension. And then we're going to take one leg back up, and this time challenging slightly differently. We're going to stretch the leg away from us. And as that leg moves away, again, we want to counterbalance the weight of the leg by just exhaling and inhaling. So when the leg moves away, we want to maintain the position of the spine. We don't want to overwork so that we flatten. We don't want to be too little tone where the spine arches. Changing legs, relax your jaw, and just check in with your alignment and your breath. Reaching away and coming back in. Reaching away and back in. Make sure you're breathing. No tension in the shoulders. Good. You may feel this working in the front of the hip and maybe the thigh. That's fine, that's okay, that's expected. And we can rest that leg down. Well, now, if you feel that that was okay for you, we're going to bring both feet up off the mat. And then you're going to stretch one leg away. Again, just adding more load, more intensity for the trunk muscles to support the legs. If this is too much, go back to the previous exercise. Keep your focus on that soft jaw, long neck, and maintaining the alignment of your trunk as you reach the leg away. And be sure to be straightening the leg, drawing the kneecap up as you reach the leg away. Breathing. Good. And just keep alternating legs until you notice that you're starting to lose your alignment, or you notice that your tone goes up when you build tension in the body, or you'll feel any discomfort anywhere in the lower back. We're then just going to take this into some pelvic tilts, just to get some movement into the lower back and start to get some control of the spine by moving the pelvis back and peeling the spine off the carriage, off the mat, and rolling down. So you tilt the pelvis back and peel the spine up until you find again the alignment that we want in the body to maintain a good core activation. We tilt the pelvis, the lower back and the ribs, making sure we're not overlifting with the ribs, but we're making sure at the same time that we're standing up in the hips. So the hips are nice and open as we come into the bridge. Inhale at the top, making sure we've got the ability to breathe in deeply so there's no tension. And then the out breath to roll down. Just checking the alignment of your body. You've got those landmarks you can check in with, the hips, the sternum, the pubic bone. Allowing the breath to come in. Feel the waist expand. And then as you exhale, you can lower your spine back down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming back down onto the mat. Again, just a moment to check in. Taking the breath in, then out to come back up into your bridge position, preparing to lift one foot off the floor. Now, the aim isn't about lifting the foot. The aim is to be able to maintain the position of your pelvis without gripping with the back, without tension or bracing. But the aim is to keep the pelvis level. Imagine you've got a glass of water on each hip bone. When you lift the leg, it stays level. So you may find initially that you can't quite lift the foot without the pelvis dropping. So that's fine. You just unweight the foot. If you want more of a challenge, you take your hands so they point up to the ceiling and lift and lower the feet. Good. So you can then just hold that one leg for a little bit longer, again, increasing the intensity of the exercise, building endurance. And then bring both feet back down and lower yourself back down onto the mat. Perfect. So now we're going to move on to our side to challenge the sides of the trunk. So we've got different layers of muscles at the side of the body. They will work when we move. We don't need to be worrying too much about that just yet. But what we do want to make sure, again, is that we've got that good setup. We've got support from the elbow. We've got a good alignment through the trunk. You can have the hand in front of you or above you on your hip or behind the head. And we're going to lift the pelvis up. The knees are bent, and then we're going to lift. And it's from that bottom half of the body that you're lifting, pressing down into the knee. The arm can come up to the ceiling. You're going to breathe as you maintain that position in your side plank. As soon as you start to feel too much tension or discomfort anywhere, you can come down. We're aiming to hold it for about 10 seconds. You can repeat it at that level again, having both knees bent. Alternatively, straighten the top leg, and we're going to lift the hips, and we're going to maintain your side plank. Checking in with your alignment all the time, having that conversation. Where is my pelvis? Where are my ribs? Do I have tension in the body? Am I breathing? And you're holding for, again, approximately 10 seconds. The third level, and you don't necessarily have to go to this level today, but somewhere to build to, we can go on to the feet. And then we've got to work to lift up the pelvis, again, maintaining that alignment of your body, breathing. And as soon as you start to feel that your alignment is compromised or you're unable to breathe due to tension, then you can come down. So building up that. And you can work up to 20 to 30 seconds on the side plank. Again, it's about building endurance in our postural muscles. And this is going to really help us with our nice upright posture and to help realign any kind of asymmetries in the body. So the arm comes up, we're on the other side, the knees are bent on the elbow. And the arm that's not on, the arm that's free, you can put in any orientation. Having the arm up to the ceiling adds a greater challenge. You can have it supporting the front across your chest or behind the head. You hold for 10 seconds and then have a short rest. I'm folding the mat up under my elbow here just to make sure my elbow isn't, it's got some support underneath it. Straightening the top leg, lifting the pelvis and breathing. Breathing as I support my body on the side. Yep, don't worry if it gets a little bit challenging. There may be a little bit of shaking, but just listen to your body. And if any part of the body starts to really get your attention and starts to shout, then you can obviously come down. But again, building up the time that you're in this position, up to 30 seconds. And then we can do increase the intensity. So you can have your feet stacked as I showed on the other side, or here we've got one foot in front of the other. And we're going to lift the hips, get that alignment through the trunk, keeping the neck nice and long, soft jaw, breathe. And just holding. And if you do a little bit with both legs, and you may choose to just drop down halfway through just to lower the intensity, modifying the exercise for whatever your body feels like it can manage today. So now we're moving on to our tummies, and we're going to get some extension in the spine, challenging the back of the body. But remember, we've got gravity acting upon us here. So as we have gravity coming down, we just want to make sure that the front of our body is just supporting our lower back. So your trunk muscles just feel a little bit of activation, connection at the front of the body, so the lower back isn't just collapsing down towards the mat. Just stretching your legs away. I've put my arms out above my head, so that I'm going to lift one leg and the opposite arm. A modification for this would be just to have the hands supporting your head. If you've got any discomfort or shoulder issues, you can just work with the legs initially, as I'm demonstrating now. To have the arms overhead just gets that link between the opposite shoulder and the glute. And this is a really important support system for the trunk, lifting and lowering. We can then just make it a little bit more challenging by alternating. If you notice one leg is lowering, the other leg has already started to lift. I've got my upper body just floating off the ground. My main aim is length, and I'm still breathing, supporting my lower back and just lifting the leg as high as you are comfortable without feeling any compression or discomfort in the lower back. Remember to go back with the hands under the head and one leg at a time if you're feeling that the lower back is pinching. So this version is another progression where we extend the arms and the legs, and we lift the chest, the arms and the legs, and we just move them as they're suspended in the air. Lots more challenge for the back of the body, hamstrings, glutes, and the erector spinae muscles. So great for postural correction. We're now going to take it into a seated position, and we can start with the legs out in front of us. So we're going to do a little bit of a seated spine stretch, and if you find that your hamstrings are tight and you can't sit with your legs straight out in front of you, As you can see here, I folded the mat, so I've just got a little bit of lift in my sit bones, and I've bent my knees. This allows me to actually move through my spine in this exercise, as opposed to my hamstrings restricting that movement. So once you've got that position, you may choose to sit on a cushion. You're going to just let your spine fold forward. But I'm keeping my sit bones nice and heavy into the mat, and I'm going to articulate from my head into my upper back, into my middle back, and then folding forward. So it's a really lovely spine stretch. We kind of want to flatten the lower back but not collapse into it. A nice lift.